All right, Shalom, also brother Kadash. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rakakadash. I'm gonna jump straight into it. So, what you see on your screen is called Experian, right? And this is a credit bureau. So we're gonna talk about the credit scores, and this is the board and senior management of Experian. Why is this important? Because it's good to identify who actually is oppressing you. Now we know that the Edomites is behind all of this, and the Lord is coming back to judge all the nations, but number one on that list that's going to get it the worst is going to be Esau, the Edomites, right? Because they the ones that create these systems to oppress you. So, the white boy that's walking down the street may not necessarily be oppressing you, but he plays a part because they give power to the elites. The government can't do shit to you. The government doesn't do anything to you. They can make as many laws as they want to, but they have enforcers, which is your police, your National Guard, and your military that enforce these laws. And then the people is the one that give them the funding to be able to get the weapons and the materials and equipment that they need in order to function. So everybody ends up being guilty of it. So that's why we say it's not just the elites, but it's the lower level Edomites. Your everyday Edomites are the ones that oppress you, the ones that's being prejudiced when you walk into a store, the ones that's going down and voting for certain laws that benefit their people rather than your people, the ones that coming together to compete against your people, which is what they supposed to do. But that's what we supposed to do too, and that's our problem, is that we're not unified together with our Lord and together as a people to be able to compete. So I always get this example. So here in Illinois, they passed a gun law. It was like a gun bill or something like that, where they banned assault rifles, right? So instead of the sheriffs in the the police stations, instead of them upholding the law for whatever it may be, right, they decided not to uphold it because of the Second Amendment. But that's the problem, because the moment where you get to decide what laws you want to uphold or not, now you are guilty, because when they say child support, that also violates your amendment rights too, your constitutional rights. It also violates your constitutional rights. Even paying tax, or being forced to pay taxes, if not, you're being penalized in a certain type of way. That violates your constitutional rights too. And they all know this, and these things have been brung up actually in court cases. But they choose to uphold those laws because it benefits them in a way, right? Because they get paid off what? That tax money. You see what I'm saying? It benefits them to destroy the so-called black man community with the whole child support thing, and get the father kicked out the home, and then he has to pay money, and it benefits them to they had another law that was passed where it was like a no bail bond. So that means that you would get out pretty much without having to pay bail, because a lot of times people can't afford the bail money. So you will get out and you will just wait your court date. But they've been fighting against that too. Why? Because it don't benefit them. Because to let people out without having to pay cash bills, now they're not making that money. And they can't hold you and get you to crack under pressure because you can't make this payment to get out of jail. So now you end up taking whatever time they give you. So the system, that's how, these are just many examples of how the system oppresses you. But one of the top, I ain't gonna say number one, but one of the top ways they oppress you, which we all know too well, is credit scores. I could have a better credit score than an Edomite, than a white man, but he could get approved at better rates than me. Why? Because it's not just the credit score. See, this is how Esau does things, and this is the tricky shit about it. And this is what's so fucked up, and this is what's so oppressive about it. Yeah, you got a credit score. Now, whatever's on my credit equals up to me having this credit score. So you as a company, you should be forced, government should force companies You have to go based off the credit score number, and then they have brackets or criterias for each credit score number wherever you fall in, whatever bracket you fall in, and then you have things from there. But they don't do it that way. You can have an 800 credit score, but then they can say, "Well, I denied you because your credit linked. You haven't had credit for that loan." Well, the problem with that is that whatever's on my credit score, all that equals up to this number. So you should go off this number, but they don't. So now they can pick and choose. Well, yeah, you have good credit. Yeah, you have good income, but you don't have enough insufficient accounts. You only had 2 accounts on your credit. So, well, you had enough accounts. Well, you have a good credit score, but the income is good, but some other ratios type shit, man. That's just bullshit. Cause then I'm left sitting here like, yeah, okay, I see that you're saying that I only had 3 accounts on my credit, but the total sum of my credit equals up to this score, which is a good score. I should get approved for this. But that's not how they do it, because they don't see. So now they got the power in their hands, because they not forced to give deals to whoever just works harder. And that's what they say. They say, look, pull yourself up by the bootstrings, right? And just work hard and you can get things in life. But if I work harder, the system is still corrupt to oppress me or make it even harder for me to succeed as compared to like a white male. Because you hold all the power to say, look, there's a difference to say, look, we're forced to go by this law, right? That's what the constitutional laws were supposed to be. We're forced to abide by these laws. We can't make no amendment, or we can't make no revision or another law that goes against one of these constitutional laws, even though things like child support actually does. Because you have the freedom to liberty. Child support could take away your freedom to liberty, because there's consequences behind it if you don't pay it. And, putting a tax like that on a person, that may be all they have. But that's just one example. And there's many more other examples too, right? But they make these revisions in these laws and that goes against these constitutional rights. So even with credit, it should be, look, you got this credit score. But then they come say, well, it's tricky. This is how the devil works, man. This is why we call him the devil, because the devil goes into the word deceiver. This is how they deceive you. Yeah, we could do a credit score. Yeah, you got a good credit score, but then they could go within your credit score and choose different reasons to deny you. They could go nitpick at the smallest little thing and say, well, we denied you because of that. When in reality, it's because of some other things behind the scenes. So I wanted to make this video because I honestly think that it's important to identify who's actually in charge of these different organizations that actually oppresses you. Right now, we know BlackRock. I believe their name is, oh man, is it BlackRock? It should be BlackRock. I'm gonna have to look it up, right? Well, it's a company that owns all these big companies, right? Here, let me go here. Let me look that up real quick. So I don't like using the computer because it's just... Right, BlackRock, which is an American investment company. Now, if you actually go, and I did a video on this on the channel, if you actually go into BlackRock, you will see that they have power over some of the major companies. So America is no different than they're hypocritical of China, but they're really no different of China. You know how China owns their big companies, the government actually owns them. It's the same thing going over here in America. They just deceiving you in deception as they don't. You think Elon Musk is able to shoot rockets up into the sky and shoot a car up into space without getting government clearance? At the moment he gets government clearance, that means now that he works with the government, and 9 times out of 10 the government has power over whatever he's doing because they get the last say so. You think he could drill tunnels under the ground for miles and miles of distance and not get permission from the government? You think he could, I won't say create, but popularize a technology with electric cars and don't get permission from the government? You got to get permission from the government just to drive on the streets. You have to have a license, and you have to have a license plate. That's you getting permission from the government. You signing contracts to say, look, I'm going to give you this license. Now you are now working with the government. And you got to pay fees on top of that. To who? The government. So if he's bringing electric cars, well, he had to get that approved with the government. So yes, everything he's doing, for example, is getting approved by the government, which goes back to the whole freedom talk. No, you're not free, because everything you do, you have to get a permission from the government, or you have to get approved, same thing, from the government to do it. So the government has power over everything that everybody does, right? So I want to go through this because I think it's just important to identify those that's oppressing you. You know, get names and get faces, so it becomes realer to you. You see what I'm saying? So let's go right here. This is board of directors. Oh man, this is why I don't like using the computer, man, because it just moves slow when you very first turn it on. So let me bring back out the sword, make this easier on us. Oh no. Right, so right here, board of directors. So you got Mike Rogers. Now I want you to look at, I want you to take notice of something, right? And I'm going to come back with another video, board of Equifax, board of TransUnion, and I want you to see a trend here, right? So take my image. If you know the channel and you know my image, how I look, right? You're not going to see that image on this board. You see what I'm saying? Let's just say that, right? So board of directors, we got Mike Rogers, right? Brian Cousins, right? Which, with the white hair, I believe they said he may be like Irish or something like that, but I think you guys will have to look even deeper into his background, because I'm really getting small hat vibes, you know, Jewish. But Lloyd Pitchford, right? Craig Boundy, right? Allison Britton. So you got to think, look at these people. Just, I'm not going to name all the names, but just look at these people. These are the people that worked and that pretty much runs Experian, which is a credit bureau. And then here's your senior management, right? So these, and the problem with this is it's no diversity. So these type of people run pretty much, because your credit, let's just talk about how important credit is, pretty much runs your life. Money, the dollar, and credit runs your life. But some would even say that credit's more important, because if you got, let's just say, a 750 credit score, you know, you could go get a $70,000 card maybe with $3,000 down. But if you got a 500 credit score, for you to get approved to get that same $70,000 car, you may have to put 10, 15 grand down. So that's a difference of 12, 13 grand just based off a credit score. And then it's the same thing with a house. If I buy a house and I got a 750 credit score, you know, I may get a 3% interest rate. Well, not today, but today, you know, went up. So today you may get an 8, 10% interest rate. But if, you know, the black boy with a 560 credit score applies for this house, he may get a 20% interest rate, which is a big difference. You have to break down the numbers, you know. So this is why we're oppressed, and this is why we can't compete against the other nations, and this is why the wage gap is 10 times more for the average white family than the black family, because of these things they've been having, these head starts, man. So you have to look up the origins of credit, right? So if you go now, if you think about it, right, you got so-called white people. They're going to car lots and getting 0%. Well, that's very rare, but 1, 2%, and they don't have to put nothing down. So now just imagine you like this new Corvette. The Corvette costs $70,000. You go to a car lot, you don't have to put a down payment. They put you in a car, you don't have to make a payment for the first 90 days, and your payment is gonna be $700 a month when you do have to start making payment because you got a 2% interest rate. Now let's just say me, I like that same Corvette, right? I like that same Corvette, right? Then let's just say I make more than the white person that went in, right? I make more money than him, right? And it's proven and it can be verified, right? But my credit score is 600, and let's just say it's 600. I don't have no repos or anything. It's just simply because I haven't built my credit, right? Now I go in, right? They tell me I gotta put $8,000 down. You see, now I gotta put 8,000 down. They put 0 down. I gotta make my first payment in 30 days. They make their first payment in 90 days. They paying $700 a month. I'm paying $1,700 a month. You see the difference? Right? So when you get a group or a company that's this strong and affects people's life this much, of course the government has involvement in it. But the great thing for the government is they could act like, no, this is just a private company. We don't really have nothing involved in it. So it takes the heat off the government, and then it just puts the heat on this company. But when you look at the people that's sitting on the board that runs this company, these people don't identify with a person like me. None of these people on this list would be a person that I would sit down and have lunch with, that I could sit down, that could relate to me, or that I could relate to in any type of way. None of these people. All these people, if there was let's just say, what's the difference? You see, these people, if I had to guess, if any of these people grew up the way that I grew up, maybe there's 2 or 3 that actually, came from poverty, but it's not the same though. The Irish, the poverty that they were in, is not the same as what the black man goes through. Yeah, you could be poor. It's a difference from being poor and then poor to the point where you were in being oppressed just coming out of slavery, not even over 200, maybe 200, 300 years ago, which is a very short period of time. It's 2 different things, man. It's 2 different things from I'm poor, but my people run this, and I just got to work my way up in the ranks, compared to I'm poor, but my people don't own anything or don't control anything, and we're being oppressed by the people that do control things. 2 different things. 2 different things. Because if I'm just a poor white man, I could get my shit together. I could clean up. I could go take a couple classes, get some education, and then these guys will welcome me with arms open into being on the board. But if I'm a black man, I could clean up, go get some education and everything, and then go to apply, and they still deny me just because, well, he's black. Because we don't obviously see any so-called African American man on this board. I mean, I'm going through it. I mean, this is updated. I don't see anybody. I mean, you tell me when to stop. You see, so with this many people on here, which we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. We got 23 people on here. We have not one African American. But realistically, I would say out of 23, at least 5 or 6 should be African American. And I know the ratios of how many, Asian, white Americans and black Americans, we understand the ratios, but what black people do for this country, that this country would not even exist without so-called black people and Latino people, right? and native people, it wouldn't even exist. We should be at least half of this list because of the importance of us. We could talk about the percentage of how many of us is here compared to how many of them is here, but the importance that we contribute. We built your White House. We built a lot of your infrastructure. We built a lot of the cities on our back. Then the Native Americans, this was their land, and a lot of this land was stolen, taken from them, not negotiated for price or bought from them. A lot of the land was stolen, taken, right? And then the labor of the Latino man, which a lot of the land was taken from them too, because a lot of this land actually belonged to Mexico. They didn't go purchase the land from Mexico. They took the land. They took New Mexico. They took Arizona. They took Texas. They took California. You see what I'm saying? So if you put that together, it should be a lot more of us on here, right? Because these are the people that's going to make the decisions on where the company goes and the company policies, which dictates your credit score. So when there's votes and there's opinions being raised, then this is the people that's going to have the say of what gets done. But look who's on the board. Just like with the lottery ticket, you know, I'm not saying there ain't no African Americans that haven't won the lottery, but when have you seen one win $1 billion mega? What's that called? The mega ball or the mega millions? When have you seen one win the mega millions for $1 billion? So I went through because I was thinking about playing the lottery. So I went through. I said, let me look up the past winners, and what I was seeing was everybody that won billions was either on the East Coast for the most part, and they were companies. I'm like, wait a minute. A company won it? I thought it has to be an individual that has to go in there and play, and then they have to put their individual name. But their company can win it? Island Projects. What a coincidence. This Island Project company won $1 billion. What a coincidence, right? You know, so pretty much I came to the point that it's a big scam and it's corrupt and it's some bullshit. You know, because they're not finna give African American young man like me $1 billion. You could go play as many lottery tickets as you want to. Good luck. They're not finna give you $1 billion because you could possibly take that money and destabilize. Depending on what you do with it, you could destabilize America, or you could also, you could start a revolution. You know, you could start a revolution and stuff like that. So they not finna give you $1 billion and that shit's all a scam. Here's one. Just for example, you know, I got a bank that I done banked with and put hundreds of thousands of dollars in to this bank account over that I've been banking with for over a decade, over 10 years, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in and out this bank account. Always did right, always been in good standings with this bank account. And I can't even get a car loan through them or a home loan. Right? But if the government forced them to say, look, if his credit score is this, you have to give him the loan, then that changes the whole playing field of America. But the government knows what they're doing, man. They leave these things to be certain type of ways so there could be oppression and corruption. They're a part of it. So imagine being a black man in America and you're not just fighting against your own people. You fighting against the people that put you in slavery and their government that controls the money. You're fighting against all these different levels of oppression. So everything's really against you. This is why it says in Revelations 18 verse 4, come up out of her, my people. This is why it says it. Because what is this credit? This is why Yahushua said, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, said, look, render unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Render his credit into him. Render his money. That money has his face on it. You could love Jay-Z as much as you want to. He could have $1 billion. He could have $100 billion. But at the end of the day, that money don't have his face on it or his people face on it. That money has the white man face on it. That's why you see them at that all white party like that, all hugged up with the white man, the small hat guy, you know, the guys that's over there in the land pretending to be us. Because that's how they're going to get further. It's by kissing their asses, man. You fighting against a whole system. And look what some of our people are still able to accomplish. That's how you know we are the real Jews, and that's how you know how great we are. Because imagine when we are in the kingdom and we not fighting against a whole system of corruption and oppression that's aimed target towards us, against us, on every level all the way up to the top. You see what I'm saying? So this is Obadiah chapter 1, right? It says, verse 6, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought out? So that's why my whole point of going through this, and I'm going to do Equifax and I'm going to do TransUnion, because I wanted to go through this and, show his hidden things. Show the faces of the guys that's running these companies. And I'm sure there's some higher ups that faces aren't on here that actually run these companies. Just like I said, for example, with BlackRock. But I wanted to show the faces of the guys, of the people that's oppressing you. These ain't none of the people that you will see at your local barbecue. These ain't none of the people that you will see that me or you will have lunch with. These ain't none of the people that you see at Champs at the mall when you're buying some new sneakers. These ain't none of the people that you gonna see on the highways and byways standing out there. This ain't none of that. This is Obadiah chapter 1, verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the borders. Who's their confederacy? Well, it's different levels. The nations and all these men that's confederate against what? Oppressing and enslaving the Lord's chosen people, man. It says, the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. It's talking about the other nations with Esau. So even you see Moab on here. Right there. Esther Lee. Which is, which is prophecy that these nations are going to fight against America, which is Mystery Babylon. They're going to turn against America because America get a lot of their power not just from these companies, but the other nations that they're in alliance with. That's why can't no black mans come together and say, look, we're getting oppressed over here, and go to Russia and get help from Russia. They together with them, man. That shit, all that war shit is a front, man. We can't go to China and say, man, look, we're getting oppressed by them and they're going to help us. They're in confederacy with them, man. Right? It says, because it's like, think of like the Iron Man, right? You got this power cord in the middle of him that gives him his power. So yeah, you got legs, you got arms, you got the rest of the body, meaning the rest of the world, but you got this power cord, the Israelites, that's inside of you, that really makes anything possible for all these nations. So that's why America would never let there be an exodus without a fight. A second exodus without a fight. They won't let 20 million or 40 million African Americans go back to Africa. Like they say, go back to Africa and go all live in Akon City. They wouldn't allow that shit to happen, man. Because that's going to take away their power, man. Why do they have the greatest military? Because they have so-called black man, Latino man, and Native American man a part of the military. That's actually doing the hard work. Let's keep going. It says, they that eat thy bread have laid wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. So the Lord is going to actually turn all these things against him. Let's get another precept. This is Jeremiah 49, verse 10. Right? Verse 10. But I have made Esau bare. Same thing as Obadiah is saying. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brother and neighbor, and he is not so. That's on a bigger, just to qualify, that's on a bigger scale. That's what's going to happen with the war, the World War III, and the Lord coming back to destroy Esau. But on a lower scale, that's why I wanted to do this video exposing Experian, exposing Equifax, exposing TransUnion, man, just to make his secret places, to uncover his secret places. These guys, you don't see these guys. These ain't the guys that's going to be at your local gym that you're going to walk into and you're going to see them at the gym and y'all working out right. You on a treadmill right next to Brian Cosson and he's on a treadmill and y'all working out, or y'all running a pickup game and Brian Cosson is your point guard on your team. These ain't the man. These guys, but these are the guys that's running your life, man. Because credit is so very important, man. And you're about to see how important credit is when the mark of the beast comes out. And they whole digital currency shit, man. You're not finna go see you're not finna go to what's that place? You're not finna go to Hooters to go watch the Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford fight, and you look over a table and Craig Boundy is sitting 2-3 tables over from you. Or Mike Rogers is sitting 2-3 tables over from you. Or Kathleen DeRose is sitting 2-3 tables over from you. And you look over and y'all both going for Terrence Crawford, and you give Kathleen DeRose a hot five, and then y'all break into a conversation and start talking about how Terrence Crawford is whooping Errol Spence. Y'all not this is not these type of people, man. But these type of people dictating your life. These people don't represent the average regular day life people, man. And that's why there's oppression. Shit, they oppress their own people at the bottom. These motherfuckers got billions and billions and hundreds of billions of dollars. Some of these companies are worth trillions, like BlackRock. And you worth that much money. Not saying that you actually have that much money, but they actually do have a lot of money too. But then your people are out here suffering at the bottom. Homeless. Have you been to LA Skid Row? People out there with tents the size of houses and shit like that. People living out of RVs that the motor don't work in it no more. You can't move it, but they just still, you can't turn it on and get no AC or nothing, but they just live. Have you been to San Francisco? They could take some of their resources and help people. Shit, with the they coming out talking about the UFOs. They saying there's technology where nobody will have to pay for energy ever. Now imagine nobody has to pay for energy. So that means your water bill's gonna go down crazy because it takes a lot of energy to get that water to your house. You don't have to pay for internet. You don't have to pay for heating, electricity, cooling. Then we all could just get electric cars, and now you don't have to pay for gas or none, or even electricity, because it's all free. Just imagine that. They got that technology. They can introduce that technology to the world right now, but they don't want to because they want to oppress you. And even deeper, they can't because, yeah, we want to give this to our people. You know, the regular everyday white people and shit like that, and Asian people and Muslim people. We want to give this technology to our people, but in order for us to give this technology to our people, the Israelites, the blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, they're also going to get this technology. And if this technology gets in the wrong hands, not a white man hand, not a Asian man hand, not a Muslim man hand, or a African man hand, if this technology gets in the blacks or the Latinos' hands, and they get this technology, and then they could use this technology against us to get freedom against us in revenge. Have you not seen the last movie, Wakanda? The Black Panther Wakanda? What was that about? You had a all black tribe, right? Wakanda. And then you had the Latino tribe, which was the water people. And what was the whole fight about? You guys need to come together. Namor, you guys need to come together with us to fight against the white man. If you don't, then we're gonna fight against you. They put it right in front of your face, man. Have you not seen the last Avatar movie? Where the two Avatar tribes were supposed to come together to fight against what? The white man. That they putting it right in front of your face. Like, look, clowns, this is what you have to do. The 12 tribes of Israel has to come back together. You guys have to come back together and fight. But you guys are scared. They putting it right in front of your face. Look, this is what if you guys did this, if the Latinos and the blacks and Native Americans actually came together as one people, we'll be in trouble. They putting it right in front of your face. Just like cloning Tyrone, they put this shit right in front of your face. And we just all laugh about it and make videos about it, but don't do anything about it. Except for the Hebrew Israelites, we are the only ones actually uniting together and doing something about it. They put this right in front of your face, man. Verse 11, lead the fatherless children, I will preserve them alive, and let the widows trust in me. For thus saith the Lord, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup has surely drunken, and art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. So for all this oppression, all this behind the scenes shit that they're doing, they're not going to go unpunished from it. They will have punishment and judgment come. And that's what they're afraid of, which is what we just got done speaking about, that revenge. When we come back to get our revenge, man, and our Lord comes back to get his revenge, that's what they're afraid of. So that's why they're never going to do certain things or let the world get certain technology, because they're planning it carefully. They're careful. They're planning it, say, look, we could do this, but the blacks are going to get it. And then that means this is over with for us. So we can't do that. We got to put these systems, because we got to have systems to oppress them, man. Because if they get too far up, like Black Wall Street, if they get too far up, and then they're going to take over America like they did Rome. So with that, I'm going to say salvation to the elect. Shalom.